When you look at the source code of any website, you'll see that it contains HTML, it contains JavaScript, as well as styling, CSS. And one of the first things that you need to consider when you are going to be creating website content is how you're going to be writing that content. And you might already have the tools available right on your computer right now, but we're going to be highlighting some of the editors, web editors that are out there, and a lot of them are going to be free and open source editors. We've got a whole list of editors that we're going to be going through, and we're going to be actually highlighting some of the top most commonly used ones. In this list as well, we're going to be including within the next lecture, so you can actually download and check out any one of these editors that you want to find out a little bit more about. So the first one we're going to talk about is Notepad++. And this one is very common. It's very straightforward and easy to use. And as you can see here, I've got it open just over here. And you can set it to a number of different languages. So you'll see that when I do change the language, so right now I have it on JavaScript. This is some JavaScript code, but I can switch it back over to HTML. And then it'll highlight the HTML a little bit better, and if this was a CSS document, I could switch it over to CSS, and we see that it does actually change the highlights of the code. It still does have this open and closed structure, so this really does help out a lot, especially when you've got long code. And I'm just going to change this back to JavaScript so that it's a little bit more viewer friendly when I'm looking at it. And it's got most of the straightforward functionality that you would expect from an editor. So it's got the edit buttons there, search, view, so there's options for view. There's all the different languages that we were just looking at. There's some settings for some preferences. You can create macros, which can really save you a lot of time. You can also run it in any one of the browsers that you might have on your system currently. And then there's also plugins that you can add and so on. So that's Notepad++. We're also going to be looking at another one called Lighttable. So this is what they say the next generation code editor. And as you can see, there is a video here show you a little bit about how it's going to work. And they all are going to have something different to add as an editor. So again, it's got some of the best features here where you can connect, you can customize it, it's easy to work with. Another one, that's another really common one, is Brackets. So Brackets is another open source text editor, and again, it's another really good one. So really the difficulty is that choosing the best one for you. And sometimes you do have to experiment a little bit and check out a few different ones. So I think that I do have Brackets as well, so I'm just going to open that up. So this is a view of Brackets, and you can see that it's got the code view there, and you also do have those same standards. You've got debugging, and you've got a few other options here that are very useful. And you can also change the default languages here, just like what we were looking at within Notepad. There's also Atom. And so Atom is relatively new. It's a really cool text editor. It gives you the ability to, again, to customize. You're able to do productivity. You can do quite a bit with Atom. It's cross-platform editing, built-in package managers. So packages are really cool because they add that extra functionality. So if something isn't in the text editor immediately, you can always check out all the different packages and add those in. There's also the multiple panes. You can do a find and replace, and all the cool features that you would expect. So another code editor that's one of the developer favorites is Sublime. So you'll find that a lot of developers that are using various coding languages would be using Sublime. So right now Sublime is version 3, and even though there is an option to buy it, if you download it, you can actually keep using it indefinitely. There might be some pop-up messages that might ask you to purchase it, but it's a full version, and you can use it indefinitely, so there's no time limit. You don't run out. One of the ones that I use, if you've seen some of my other videos, is that I use Dreamweaver a lot. So I've been using Dreamweaver for a lot of years, and I just find it, I'm just very comfortable with it. So I do tend to use Dreamweaver quite a bit, and it is very, very functional, got a lot of really cool options, but it is, a lot of these open source ones are very comparable to it. So I wouldn't really say that Dreamweaver is the best. And of course, Dreamweaver is not open source, it's an Adobe product. So you have to purchase their regular annual fees or monthly fees in order to be able to continue using it. You can get a 30-day free trial on it. So this is one that you can use for 30 days. Another one is Komodo. So this one is really cool. I really like this one as well. So relatively new. It's an open source. It's part of the Komodo IDE. It's a powerful editor. It's got a lot of advanced functionality and so on. So a lot of options, and there's just a ton more if it's only HTML code that you're writing. So with HTML code, and see if it's front-end code that you're doing, if you're just looking at HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, you can use the online editors as well. So you might not necessarily need such an advanced editor. You can get away with a more simplified editor that you might not necessarily need to look at some of these really advanced editors. So again, it's a personal preference, and whichever ones you I would suggest you try out a couple of them, and whatever ones kind of flow better, those are the ones that you should stick to. So there's also ones that are online. So there's CodePen IO, which I also use quite a bit, and this allows you to simply create a brand new pen. And it's also got a whole bunch of pens that are already predefined. So in here you can just simply write out HTML code. And you can see that it shows up here within the preview area. You can also style it if you want. So I'm just going to apply a quick style to that. And you can see that as soon as you do let off of that, it applies the style to it. Just change that to red. And then as well, you've got your JavaScript that you can apply as well. So maybe you can just do a document write and write something out. And do something like that where we just write out hello. So you can see that there's quite a few of these that are out there, and I'm just going to check out a few more. So there's another one. So there's JS Fiddle, which you're also going to see quite a bit, and the same type of thing as CodePen, where you can type out your code. You've got your CSS there and your JavaScript. So if it's only front-end stuff, there's a lot of different options that are available. There's another one, Dablet. So this is just a CSS editor. So you can just do the CSS. I believe they also have HTML. And then I guess JavaScript is new. So you can create some JavaScript code here, and essentially it will run as well. So similar type idea. And again, there's another one here, Liveweave. And whatever you're typing out here, change that to hello world, and you can see that again it does take it does show up over here. We can do the same one where we could do color red and so on. So it gives you the ability to really build out your code online. And I believe that when we were typing there, it's actually giving you the options here, which is a really cool feature. So I just noticed that we actually do have the colors there, and we can actually pick out the colors here for CSS3. So that's really good functionality there. And also it was showing us that there's an error. So again, another really cool one, Live Weave, and we see how that turns out there. Another one, so there's Macaw. So I believe, yeah, this one you have to pay for, and this is more of a builder. So again, a drag and drop, and you're building out your website content, your HTML. And these are all online editors. So you could just simply go to one of these online and just create an account if you want to save them. And also if you want to practice HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, these are really great places just to practice up the coding. If you're looking at a content management system such as WordPress for your website, you're going to have an ability to just type in your content into its WYSIWYG. So they contain these WYSIWYG editors where you could simply type in the code that you want to use, and you also have an option to flip to HTML, and then there's also CSS options and JavaScript options within WordPress as well. So again, you could use any one of these to write out your code, to test it out, and just to see how that looks. And as well, when you are writing code, if you're saving it locally, you don't actually need anything beyond your web browser to be able to view the code. So you don't need to have a server running on your site. You can just run this page on its own and view it within the browser, because the browser can render out the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.